Hello students, welcome to the EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Shefali Nagpal from Bhagat Phool Singh Mahila Vishwavidyalaya, and today we will talk about the module International Business Environment, Internal Environment of the paper International Business Operations. After studying this module, you will be able to understand the various components of the business environment faced by the global companies and also to know about the various components of the internal environment of a firm aspiring to do the overseas business. As you know, in this present time, which is characterized with the economic slowdown and the intense competition, the necessary condition for success of the business are much more complex and uncertain than they were before. With the globalization of the business, and the business firms have to imbibe the capacity to face the global competition for survival and its growth. Any strategy formulation exercise entails establishing a proper firm environment that highlights the critical importance of analyzing the international business environment. The essence of any successful business strategy is its environmental orientation. Since there are some of the fundamental differences between the business operations in the domestic as well as the international markets. For the successful strategy, there is a need to understand the complexities which exist in the international markets. It is more than unlikely that the firm can extend its domestic strategies into the foreign markets. Mere understanding the customer requirement is not enough. A company has to go beyond its internal strategies, understand the customer requirements, what makes a business strategy more successful in one market and failure in the another. And it is because of the difference which exists in the firm's capabilities to understand and respond to the international business environment. Business environment, the conceptual framework. Before we understand what is international business, let us understand what is a conceptual framework of business environment. The most simple way to explain the environment of the business is to conceptualize it as comprising of the surroundings, which have direct and indirect influence on the business. The traditional view of business is to look upon the same as a closed system, which is not influenced by the external and internal factors. However, after Hawthorne experiment, it was realized that business cannot be run by mere economic rationality, and there are internal and external factors which can influence the functioning and performance of the business. Business is no longer seen as a closed system, but is looked upon as an open system which is influenced by the factors within and outside the organization. Business environment, as described by Richman and Coupin, is environment consists of the factors that are largely, if not totally, external and beyond the control of individual, industrial enterprise and their managements. These are essentially the givers within which firm and their management must operate in a specific country, and they vary often greatly from country to country. Business environment getting complex day by day as there is an intense competition between the firms. Moreover, many issues related to business such as environmental issues like deforestation, global warming, depletion of ozone layer, pollution of land, air and water, inclusiveness of growth, etc. are no longer strictly the issues related to the books and conferences. They are the things of discussion in the public domain. The businesses are challenged today to develop creative ways to make profit without unduly harming the existing environment. Considering the variety of these sources of change in the environment, global managers are challenged to keep themselves adjust as needed. Gone are the days when business was heavily protected and subsidized. Licensing, quotas, and restrictions were the order of the day. Now, competition is the name of modern business. Businessmen always stand on the brink of a fear to get eliminated from the market. They stand on their feet to cut down cost, eliminate deficiencies, and increase improvement in the quality is the order of the day. But by the competition, consumer is obviously benefited by the diverse opening of the different competitors. According to the Michael Porter, aggressive home-based suppliers and demanding local suppliers competing domestic rivals will keep each other honest in obtaining government support. Nowadays, competition is not only from the rival firms but also from ever-improving technology. For example, with the emergence of smartphones, many products such as camera, Walkman, cassettes, video recorders, personal diaries, telegrams, watches, alarm clocks, calculators, etc. are out of businesses. So, today's business is witnessing the manifold competition which was not prevalent in the past, and this competition is created out of the changes that have taken place in the various components of the business environment. In order to survive and grow in this complex situation, firms have to understand and even forecast these changes and their possible influence on the businesses and devise strategies for the survival and growth. Components of international business environment. Now let us understand what are the complex mix of the components. Environment is a complex mix of components which interact with each other and produce situations which can be favorable or unfavorable for the businesses. William Gluck has defined the business environment as a set of factors, and it describes as business environment is a process by which strategists monitor the economic, governmental, market, supplier, technological, geographic, and social setting to determine opportunities and threats to their firms. Depending upon the proximity to a firm, various components of the business environment can be divided into two categories. One, internal environment. Second, external environment. Both these factors have varying degree of influence on the business firm. There is a varying degree of control of a firm on these environmental components. The internal environment comprises of the components which are related to direct achievements of the objective and have a direct bearing on the firm's performance. Since they relate to the achievement of the task and activities within the organization, they are also called task environment. A firm's management can assert control on these factors. Hence, the internal environment is also connoted as controllable environment. External environment comprises of the components which lie outside a firm. These components have a remote or indirect influence on firm's activity. These components do not intervene with the day-to-day activities but assert an influence. Hence, the other name given to the external environmental component is the remote environment. Since these components lie outside the control of the firm, the management of the firm cannot exercise a direct control on it. So, it is considered to be uncontrollable. Internal environment. An organizational internal environment is composed of the elements within the organization, including current employees, management, especially corporate culture, which defines employees' behavior. Although some elements affect the organization as a whole, others affect only the manager. A manager's philosophical or leadership style directly impacts employees. The traditional managers give explicit instructions to the employees, while progressive managers empowers employees to make many of their own decisions. Changes in the philosophy and or leadership styles are under the control of manager. In other words, internal driving forces are those kind of things, situations, or events that occur inside the business and are generally under the control of company. Various components of internal environment of a firm are: any business environment is composed of the two environments. One is the internal environment and another is the external environment. First of all, let us study about the internal environment. In the internal environment, we comprise value system, vision and mission, objectives and strategy, core competencies, resources, and organizational structure. Now, what is value system? According to a business dictionary, the value systems are comprehended as a coherent set of values adopted or evolved by a person, organization, society as a standard to guide its behavior and preferences in all situations. Value systems. They represent the individual's and consequently the firm's commitment to abide by the self-defined set of norms and values. These norms and values define a firm's conceptualization of righteousness and wrongfulness of its action, and they set the standards for the range of deviation that they would allow to themselves while earning the profits. These value systems tell the purpose of doing the business and the basic value for which the firm stands for. All the subsequent actions of a firm are translated on the basis of their value systems. For example, the purpose and the value of the Tata Group are stated as under. Purpose. At the Tata Group, they define their purpose as we are committed to improving the quality of life of the communities we serve. We do this by striving for leadership and global competitiveness in the business sectors in which we operate. Our practice of returning to the society what we earn evokes trust among consumers, employees, shareholders, and the community. We are committed to protecting this heritage of leadership with trust through the manner in which we conduct our businesses. For example, let us take the example of the Tata Group, who describes its core values as Tata has always been a value-driven organization, and these values continue to direct the growth and the business of the Tata companies. The 5 core Tata values underpinning the way we do the businesses are integrity, which states we must conduct our business fairly with honesty and transparency. Everything we must do stand the test of the people's scrutiny. Second value is understanding. We must be caring, show respect, compassion, humanity for our colleagues and customers around the world and always work for the benefit of the communities we serve. The third value is excellence. We must constantly strive to achieve the highest possible standards in our day-to-day work and in quality of the goods and services we provide. The fourth value is unity. We must work cohesively with our colleagues across the group, with our customers and partners around the world, building strong relationships based on the tolerance, understanding, and mutual cooperation. Fifth is responsibility. We must continue to be responsible, sensitive to the countries, communities, and environments in which we work, always ensuring that what comes from the people goes back to the people many times over. Vision and mission. The vision of an organization outlines what the organization wants to be or how it wants the world in which it operates to be. That is, an idealized view of the world. It is a long-term view and concentrates on the future. It can be emotive and is a source of inspiration. It is a long-term view of the self and tells what the stakeholders of a firm see for themselves after doing the business. It sets a framework for the business to develop a roadmap of the activities to translate into the vision. The firm's missions decides the course of the action that the firm will follow in order to survive and grow. In the present time, the firm develop a few core competencies and develop their entire global businesses plan on its basis. They do not dissipate their resources by venturing into too many businesses, but concentrate on their core strengths and do not mind outsourcing the rest. The mission is the roadmap to achieve the framework defined by the vision. Let us understand the concept from an example of a global company, Coca-Cola. The mission and the visions of the Coca-Cola Group are as under. The mission and the vision of the Coca-Cola groups define the world is changing all around us. To continue to thrive as a business over the next 10 years and beyond, we must look ahead, understand the trends and forces that will shape our business in the future and move swiftly to prepare for what to come. We must get ready for the tomorrow today. That's what our Vision 2020 is all about. It creates a long-term destination for our business and provides us with a roadmap for winning together with our bottling partners. The mission statement defines as our roadmap starts with our mission, which is enduring. It declares our purpose as a company and serve as a standard against which we weigh our actions and decisions. To refresh the world, to inspire moments of optimism and happiness, to create value and make a difference. Our vision. The vision serves as a framework for our roadmap and guides every aspect of our business by describing what we need to accomplish in order to continue achieving sustainable quality growth. First, people. Be a great place to work where people are inspired to be the best they can be. Second, portfolio. Bring to the world a portfolio of quality beverage brands that anticipate and satisfy people's desires and needs. Third, partners. Nurturing a winning network of customers and suppliers. Together we create mutual enduring value. Then, planet. Be a responsible citizen that makes a difference by helping build and support sustainable communities. Profit. Maximize long-term return to the shareholders while being mindful of our overall responsibilities. Last, productivity. Be a highly effective, lean, and fast-moving organization. Let us now understand the objectives and the strategy of an organization. As defined by the Business Dictionary, the objective of the firm is the specific result that a person or the systems aim to achieve within a time frame and with available resources. In general, objectives are more specific and easier to measure than the goals. Objectives are basic tools that underlie all the planning and strategic activities of an organization. They serve as a basis for creating the policy and evaluating their performances. Some example of the business objectives include minimizing expenses, expanding internationally, making a profit. In other words, we can say objectives are the quantified and measurable steps to achieve the mission of a firm. Now, corporate strategy. It is concerned with the overall purpose and the scope of the business to meet the stakeholders' expectations. This is a crucial level since it is heavily influenced by the investors in the business and act as a guide to the strategic decision making throughout the business. The corporate strategy is oftenly called as mission statement. The business unit strategy. It is concerned more with how a business competes successfully in a particular market. It concerns the strategic decisions about the choice of the product, meeting the need of the customers, gaining the advantage over the competitors, exploiting or creating new opportunities, and many more. Operational strategy is concerned with how each part of the business is organized to deliver the corporate and business unit level strategic direction. Operational strategy, therefore, focuses on the issue of resources, processes, people, etc. While understanding the tools for the strategic analysis are beyond the scope of this lesson, but it is pertinent to mention some of the tools like pest analysis, scenario planning, 5-force analysis, market segmentation, directional policy metrics, competitors analysis, critical success factor analysis, and SWOT analysis. Core competencies. The core competencies are the main strength or strategic advantage of a business. Core competencies are the combination of the pooled knowledge and technical capacities that allow a business to be competitive in the marketplace. Theoretically, a core competency should allow a company to expand into new markets as well as provide significant benefits to the customers. It should be hard for the competitors to replicate. The term core competency is relatively new. It originated in year 1990 in the Harvard Business Review article. In it, the authors suggested that business functions do not enhanced by the core competencies should be outsourced if economically feasible. The term was coined by C.K. Prahlad as an alternative tool to competitiveness in addition to the Porter's model of generic strategy. Since core competencies are difficult to imitate, they are also called as distinctive competencies. Firms often develop core competencies, but only a few are able to convert it into successful business. The classical case of Canon versus Xerox is an example. Both the companies started by developing core competencies in optical scanning, but over a period of time, Xerox outsmart the performer by its superior strategy. Canon at one time had practically driven Xerox even out of its home country, that is USA. But Xerox developed a very comprehensive marketing and customer service strategy and regained its leadership in the photocopier industry. Similarly, Honda developed the core competence in the field of petrol engine, and this led it to become a market leader in the products based on the same. Honda is a leader in the cars, generator sets, now two-wheelers also. The formidable competitive advantage dwells upon the core competencies. Resources. Firms' access to exclusive resources is a big source of competitive advantage. The resources can be in the form of raw material, cheap labor, technology, networks, cheap power, infrastructure, etc. These resources enable a firm to achieve effective strategic implementation and resulting into the characteristic distinctiveness. For example, Chinese manufacturers have access to very good infrastructure, cheap power and other inputs. Further, they have exclusive knowledge of the material science and are able to re-engineer the products to reduce the cost without significant reduction into the operational performance of the products. This makes them the low-cost producer of the world, unmatched with any other country of the world, eroding the competitive advantage of several developed nations. In the present time, the intangible resources such as knowledge, technology, and etc. are also playing an important role in imparting the competitiveness to the firms. Organizational structure. Certain firms have organizational characteristics, including the structure and systems, which can be a good source of competitive advantage. Japanese firms have very strong systems of planning and collective decision making, organizational commitment and high degree of operational competence to produce zero defect products. Such an output is a result of the organization-wide efforts. In the present time, several firms have developed lean and efficient organizational structures, which help them to produce unmatched quality. Properly designed organizational structures facilitate hassle-free communication between individuals, reduces conflict, and help in achieving better coordination between various departments. Similarly, organizational culture help in motivating employees and achieving better productivity. The systems of multinational companies have helped them to survive for centuries in diverse business environments. The recent example of strike and violent protest in Maruti were the results of the organizational problems. The top management failed to anticipate the brewing problem within the organization, and the firm has to face the labor protest, shutdown of the production, and loss of the market position. Maruti will have to work very hard to come out of this and regain its leadership position in the automobile industry. So students, let us now summarize what we have learned in this module. Business environment is a complex combination of the various surrounding components, both within and outside an organization. The internal components of the business environment are the factors within the organization that can be within the control of the management of a firm. These internal components include organizational values, vision and mission, objectives, strategies, core competencies, resources, and organizational characteristics of the firms. By carefully crafting each of these factors, the firm can build the systems which can help them to remain competitive. The firms must have effective systems for assessing their internal conditions of the firms to avoid sudden uncertainties. Thank you.